Good afternoon, Turks and Caicos, and welcome to another episode of the Patriot Hour. It's going to be a great show as usual. It is your 1 o'clock hour on a Thursday, so you know it's the Patriot Hour. Today's topic will be National Honors and Awards, and I have a very special guest. Allow him to introduce himself shortly. And remember, this is a call-in show, so you can always call on 941-8550. That's 941-8550. You can make your calls. You don't have questions for our guests. And again, we are dealing with National Honors and Awards. So, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Willette Swann, current chair of the National Honors and Awards Committee.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Swann. So, as usual, let's get right to it. For those out there who still may not be aware of the National Awards, tell us what they actually are.
Well, the National Honors and Awards system is our Turks and Caicos effort to foster service to humanity, philanthropic contribution, and extraordinary achievement. If we honored those and persons are able to use the titles and wear the insignia, that do a lot to encourage persons to qualify.
Okay, tell the general public that might not know some of the different categories, and can you give a little background on those particular categories as well?
Well, there are seven awards. The Order of National Hero is the highest of the awards, and with that award, the person has the title "The Right Excellent," and may wear the insignia of the National Hero. And this award, well, the first 5 awards maybe on a person even while he's alive or after death. Okay. And the National Hero Awards is the highest one. Second to that is the Order of Turks and Caicos. That person may have the letters OTC behind his name, and the title "the Most Honorable." The third highest.
So you don't have to go in the House of Assembly to get an honorable next to your name.
Well, they only get honorable, but this person gets
most
honorable.
All right.
Okay? The third one is the Patriotic Award. It comes in 2 gold Caius Award for Islanders, and this is the only one that is available to non-Islanders. The silver, the Mouchure Bank Award, is available to non-Islanders. And there's the Meritorious Service Award. Well, I failed to say that the Patriotic Award, the person may use the title "the Much Honored" and have the letters PA after his name. Then there's the Meritorious Service, where this person may have the letters MSM after his name, Meritorious Service Medal after his name. The Long Service Medal is available as well, LSM after the name, and the National Young Achievers Medal, NYAM after the name. So those are our medals, and we can talk more about them as we go along.
Okay, and I know with the medals, there's some limitations depending on which medals they are. Like, how many of each is given out in any one year, from the top to the bottom?
The ordinance limits to a maximum of 1 national hero in each year. There'll probably be several years where we won't have one, but in any year we can't have more than 1. And a maximum of 2 orders of TCI in any year. a maximum of 4 patriotic awards in any one year.
And question, with that breakdown, is that total 4 gold and 4 silver, or is it 4 gold and silver combination?
4 gold and silver combinations.
Okay.
So if you have 3 of one is left of the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the same number of meritorious service medals. The other two are, long service and national young achievers. They're only available during the person's lifetime.
Okay.
And there isn't a restriction on the number in any year.
So that's foreseeably, if there's 1,000 submissions that warrant. Well, no, let me scale back. That's not saying that it can't happen, right? But let's say that there is, all right, let's say 100 or 75. Let's make it more reasonable. 75 submissions for the Long Service Award or the National Youth Award and any Youth Achievers Award or medal in any one particular year, and they all warrant it, then foreseeably the committee could say, okay, well, they've all made a mark, so we're not going to stop them because it's unlimited.
Yeah, if we had that number of persons who were behaving and serving and achieving and giving and sacrificing at that level, yes. I like the number 1,000 better.
I know.
What a Turks and Caicos that would be.
That's a lot of write-ups too, boy.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so how are persons selected for a national award and honor, and can anyone be selected for a national award?
Well, that's
kind of touched on it a little bit earlier.
That question called for all of the information. That's going to take a long time.
You give the summarized version. We got an hour.
Well, anyone who is qualified, like we were just talking about, anyone who actually, have put in the service, made the achievement, etc. Anyone who's qualified could be selected for a national honor. The ordinance describes the kind of person, the kind of service, the level of achievement that's required for each reward. Of course, it's clear that since the awards are higher than 1 or lower than 1, the level of service or achievement, etc., is different for each of the awards. We did already say that the awards are for islanders, except there's only one medal for a non-islander. That's the Musho Bank Medal. And the Musho Bank Medal, for example, is a medal available for nationalism, really. It's if this person who is not a Turks and Caicos Islander has shown need for and support of integrating our islands, and the person has philanthropic contribution, as well. One might think the philanthropic contribution would be toward integrating the islands. That person would be qualified. Okay? When we look at a couple of the, let's look at the top and the bottom.
Right.
The Young Achievers Medal that talks about achievement. The young, right? It says so in the name of the medal.
Yeah.
And of course is
there a top end that young?
The national hero.
Like, is there an age limit on this young? Not just young at heart?
Yes, young is from 12 to 25.
Okay.
Okay? But I was going to say that it calls for achievement, and at the top, the national hero, it calls for achievement as well. Right? So there are descriptions as to what each medal would require. We could do them, just go and do all of them if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. So I think we could do a couple now and do a couple later. So let's say, like you said, start with the top and the bottom. Well, not the bottom, the top and the end.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah, beginning and the end. For a national hero, describe what that looks like, because given we're coming off of a National Heroes Day and the debates on what a hero should like, what is described in the ordinance and or the guideline, the booklet, as a national hero? What does that look like, or that person look like?
The Order of National Hero may be granted to an islander for extraordinary and outstanding achievement and merit in service to the islands or to humanity. Okay? So we use all those adjectives: extraordinary, outstanding, achievement, and merit. So that's the kind of person. Show that the person really has this kind of achievement. The person really has this kind of merit, and yes, we should name that person a national hero of the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Before you describe the young, I keep on getting this
The
one.
National Young Achievers.
National Young Achievers Medal, and what that person would look like. When and how did the Right Excellent Jakes McCartney became a national hero?
Well, we recognized him as a national hero a long time ago, but officially, since this ordinance came into force, he was declared. This ordinance declared him a national hero, and he was recognized as our first national hero a while back.
In the 90s, right?
I do believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And describe the National Young Achievers Award. Like what does that look like?
So this award is awarded to young persons. We said 12 to 25, who has performed exceptionally well, whether on a national level or in international or regional level, in culture, in academics, in the performing arts, or sports. Okay? So the person would have performed exceptionally well on a national, regional, or international level in one of those four areas: culture, academics, the performing arts, or sports. I believe last year we would have awarded Delano.
Yes.
In sports.
Delano Williams, Miss Raisha Higgs in performing arts, and another a young lady or a young gentleman. Maybe it's like 3 or 4 total last year. Okay, to the meat of the matter. Can the public send in recommendations for national awardees? And if so, what is the process?
Well, actually, that's a part of the answer that we didn't get to. The long answer.
The long answer. Well, you need to know.
Yes. The system depends on the public nominating persons.
So if they don't nominate, they can't be considered.
Yes, the system depends on the public
You'll hear
nominations.
And get back to that in a second. Okay. Continue.
The procedure is that members of the public nominate persons they consider qualified, and with the nomination presenting strong evidence of the fact that the person is indeed qualified for this particular award. The person doesn't need met this description of the award. The committee will receive and consider nominations. Check that the claims you make are indeed factual. That yes, this person, has really done what you say the person has done, has really sacrificed, has really served like you say the person has served, and the committee would recommend those persons it considers appropriate, would recommend those persons to cabinet for the honor. The committee is limited in that the committee cannot change your nomination. So if you nominate somebody for the long service, and the committee thinks, well, no, this person really doesn't fit the long service, we wished you would have nominated him for the meritorious service, but the committee can't then go ahead and recommend him for meritorious. The committee can only work on your nominations. The committee cannot nominate.
When a person is being considered for any of the awards, does there have to be, say, multiple nominations for them to be considered, or does it just take one nomination for any particular category?
No, there doesn't need to be multiple nominations. One good, strong nomination will do.
Mm-hmm. And can persons be nominated? Because you mentioned you can't change nominations, but can they be nominated in several categories?
Well, yeah, the public out there, Jill doesn't know who John is nominating. So if we end up with one person nominated in more than one category, that's cool. If we end up with more than one person nominating the same individual in the same award, that's cool too. None of it really matters, except it might matter in that one person might give us some information regarding this individual that they're nominating, and another person give other different information, and so strengthen the nomination.
Right. So in a case where you have, let's say, multiple nominations, let's say, like with the Patriotic Award, you have four awardees max you can give out. Let's say Jane Doe is nominated for the Patriotic Award by one person, nominated for the Order of Turks and Caicos by another person. They qualify for Order of Turks and Caicos, they get it. They're ready to select it. But you have 5 persons who qualify for the Patriotic Award, one of which is Jane Doe, who's already qualified for the higher honor in this instance. Is it a case that the committee would then say, okay, well, they have the higher honor, so it makes sense to give the other 4 that nomination at the patriotic level, or because Jane Doe is, well, she's strong enough to make it the Order of the Turks and Caicos, so clearly she would likely qualify for patriotic award. Like, how does the committee deal with those types of things where you can award multiple awards for people?
It would be fair to award the highest honor that the person qualified for, and then just not give the others, because you make the thing complicated if you had a person who would end up with 2 titles and 2 sets of letters behind the person's name. You make it awkward. Okay. So we just give the award, the highest award that the person qualifies for. Right. The way I interpret the ordinance is that it only allows 1 award per individual, except the long service award. That person may qualify later on for
something
higher award,
right?
And I would expect the same thing to be true of the National Young Achievers,
right? So in other words, then, so you might start with a LSM behind your name, and then later on you might get a PA or OTC. So then would the previous one drop, and you just add and you insert the new distinction, or you just add a LLMPA or LLM OTCI?
I think we should just use the highest one.
Highest one and call that it?
Yeah, the highest one. Because you could expect if some young person, who is 25, and this person is getting an honor, if we would expect that person to continue on being a good citizen and serving, right? Yeah.
Before we continue, I'd like to make a statement. Persons out there listening on Radio Land, Ustream, as well as on Facebook, the chairman just said, if you nominate persons, they cannot be considered. We know there was a lot of angst when the selections were announced last year. So definitely one of the reasons why the TCI Patriots said we're going to make our own set of nominations and try to get at least 5 per island, if not more, depending on how the person qualify. But you have to put the person's name in. Whether it's your family, it does not matter. Don't wait on somebody else to submit for the persons you would want to submit for. Do it yourself. So how can persons get the application forms which are needed to make these submissions?
Application forms are available in several places. You can download them from the government's website. They're available at the Premier's offices, at the District Commissioner's office, places at the Treasury, at National Insurance. They're available at several places. They're available at some stores, Grand Turk and Providenciales. So they're available out there. So you can find the form, and I wouldn't just depend on the form. The form has very limited space for it.
Right.
I would just add additional documents as necessary to make the point, to show that the person is indeed qualified. Describe what the person has done.
Add an attachment.
Yeah.
to describe. Yeah, because I've seen forms, and you're not gonna have. You're not gonna be a national hero what they've done in 4 lines or 5 lines. You're gonna need more space. Okay, do we need a national award system? Question.
We do. Every country have a system to encourage its people to be good citizens, to serve, and we do as well.
What are the big benefits? Continuing what you talk about of having our own national awards.
It's the pride of honoring our own, and especially in this period where Turks and Caicos Islanders have just weathered a series of storms, a variety of storms. Right? When we need some uplifting moments, get some endorphins flowing, and perhaps it would be good for small populations like us to not pay too much attention to mark noise, but be cognizant of the price of beef, stuff that's real rather than just noise.
Can you describe what the makeup of a person who would likely qualify for the Order of the Turks and Caicos as well as a Long Service Award?
The Order of the Turks and Caicos may be granted to an islander who has served with distinction in a field or discipline, and that we've made a point that it may be during the person's life or a person who's already dead, who has served with distinction in any field or discipline. The Long Service Medal is to an islander who has given outstanding service to the island's public for a minimum period of 20 years. I believe last year we misunderstood this bill and thought it was only for public servants, for civil servants.
For civil servants.
Thought it was only for civil servants.
Yeah.
But no, the medal is for public service. And anybody who
serves in the public,
who serves the public,
right,
and would have done so, giving outstanding and exemplary service
so
for a period of 20 years or more.
So if you were a part of the, let's say, Boy Scouts, Kiwanis, service clubs, just serving the public and would have served exemplary in those roles, would that count as well as public service?
If persons could recognize you, standing out and providing this service, yes.
Okay, it's good to know. So back to the drawing board, folks. It's not just about civil service serving, but it's more than that. It's a little bit broader, but again, you have to make your case as to why these persons would have given outstanding and exemplary public service. So it's serving the general public. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with some more questions with the chairman of the National and Awards Committee. And again, if you want to call in, you can call in after the commercial break at 941-8550. 941-8550.
Calling all Patriots. It's that time of year again. Applications for the Turks and Caicos National Awards are being accepted. Don't miss out on an opportunity to nominate and honor your fellow Turks and Caicos Islanders. The categories are as follows: the Order of National Hero, the Order of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Long Service Medal, the National Young Achievers Medal, and our personal favorite, the Patriotic Award. The deadline for all submissions is June 30th, 2016. For a copy of the National Medals and Awards Guidelines, email us at tcipatriots@gmail.com. That's tcipatriots@gmail.com. We will make our submissions, so make sure you make yours.
Good afternoon again, and welcome back to the Patriot Hour, and we are discussing the National Honors and Awards. We are here with the chairman of the National Honors and Awards Committee, Mr. Willette Swann, for persons who might be just locking in. The number to call is 941-8550. That's 941-8550. Before we got on the break, we were discussing some of the actual descriptions of awards and how persons actually get these awards. To continue with the questioning, what's the deadline for national awards and honorary submissions, and where can persons submit? Where are the locations where they do these submissions?
The deadline is June of each year. Mm-hmm. Nominations do not roll over into next year, so we get a fresh set of nominations each year by the 30th of June, and you might bring them to the Premier's office, your district commissioner's offices. If you know a member of the committee, bring it to a member of the committee, and your nomination will be kept and considered.
Who are the members of the committee? Some of them.
the committee members, the man for all citizens, Bill Clare, Mr. Elphius Gardner, Miss Rosabelle Adams, Miss Cicely Ewing, Mr. Sam Hanfield, and there is a vacancy on the committee that we expect will be filled anytime. Yeah.
Question: can persons who are on the committee also make submissions?
No. Persons who are on the committee can't do a nomination. Neither can committee members. Well, if you want to nominate me, you but it's just going to go in the garbage.
So when you mentioned that the deadline being June 30th, 2016, and if you send in and there's no rolling over of applications, so is it a case then that once the deadline for this batch of applications is closed on June 30th, July 1st, the new batch opens up? So would you have been receiving applications since the last closed deadline? So if you submit something late, quote unquote late, then would it just not be, would it roll over to be considered the following year? So
we would rather the nominations come closer to the time.
Closer to the deadline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the period to be considered would be, that would be that that period just when nominations are closing. That period ending just when nominations are closing. So we'd rather nominations to come a little later than that. Yeah.
So how are members of the committee selected? What is the criteria? And you like have to be a professor or something? How you get on this committee?
The National Honors and Awards Committee is bipartisan. Should we say? Or the idea is that it's really non-partisan. The premier appoints the members of the committee. Three of them after consultation with the. Is it three? Is there 6 members? 7 members? How many
Probably
members?
7.
7.
Because you have a vacancy.
Yes, 3 after consultation with the leader of the opposition, and the premier tries to get agreement with the leader of the opposition on the appointment of the chair. Yeah.
And so it's 3 for the government, 3 for the opposition, and agreement on the chair to make the 6 total. So describe the 2 patriotic awards as well as the meritorious award. How does a person qualify for that? What are you looking for?
The patriotic award, the Caius medal, the golden medal, may be granted to an islander who has demonstrated a keen sense of national consciousness and rendered exceptional sacrificial service to the islands and the people of the islands. And so we're talking about this islander who has this keen sense of national consciousness and who have rendered exceptional sacrificial service to the islands or its people. And in the case of the silver medal to a non-islander, the Monsieur medal, for demonstrating a very high regard for national integration, bringing the islands together, and for philanthropic contribution to the development of the islands.
So sacrifice.
Yeah.
What type of that's a interesting word. Like describe a type of sacrifice. Like of what?
Well,
What is a sacrifice?
you're serving the islands, and it's costing you. It might cost you your time. It might cost you some of your material here and there, right? So if you know persons who are doing that, right, and at the same time have this keen sense of national consciousness, keen sense of, look, I'm Turks and Caicos Islander, and I want this for Turks and Caicos Islanders. That person, nominate that person, and show why you think this person is qualified.
And the philanthropy with the silver medal.
Check your phone for that word. Your dictionary.
Is that a particular amount? Because I know when you think of philanthropy, you're talking about, I guess, money being spent on initiatives and stuff like that.
It's those kinds of contributions that benefit the public, philanthropic,
and the bringing together, particularly.
And the idea is as national integration, bringing all of us together. And if there's an islander who is known for doing that, then that person should be nominated for the award.
Does a huge party for free? Does that count? Everybody's together, bringing us together, enjoy ourselves, and it's paid for. That doesn't cost anything. Just kidding. And the meritorious award.
The meritorious service.
Meritorious, yes. Yeah? Meritorious.
This one is simply for persons who have performed a brave or humane act in the islands or abroad. Okay? Again, given sacrificial and meritorious service in a field that is inherently challenging. So one or the other.
Okay.
Who is given sacrificial and meritorious service in a field that's inherently challenging, or has performed a brave or humane act in the islands or abroad.
Well, the first one, it seems straightforward enough that, okay, well, if you might have been a part of a war, save a life or something like that, that seems like a brave act, meritorious. Like, do you have to save several lives over a couple of times, or does one qualify?
It says a brave or humane act.
Okay.
A is, just only that one.
Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and like what's the second part about the
given sacrificial and meritorious in a challenging field, in a field that's inherently challenging?
Give a example or two of the persons could a challenge.
Quite often we say like you say soldiers, police officers, some might say fire. Those fields we consider inherently challenging. There are some others that you or I might consider inherently challenging. Those kinds of fields, if there's this person who's giving sacrificial and meritorious service in that field, then nominate that person and tell us what how that person has been sacrificing.
Question. There's a add-on. That's for you. I want your personal view on this one. Not necessarily as a committee chair, because we can't revert. Given the criterion for a national hero, and this is a unfortunate ongoing debate. You hear it come up every time about the criteria for a national hero and the service persons would have given that we only have one recognized national hero from basically period. In your view, do you think, given the current description of what we have for a national hero, does our right excellent Jakes McCartney, still based on his work from, I guess, 74 to 1980 when he passed in office, is that the type of person we're looking for? I know it's a tricky one, but as a person, so persons could actually, the reason I asked the question, it's for clarity for persons who might be thinking I might be doing blasphemy right now, it's so persons could get a feel for what it is, because that's the only example we have so far. And is that the quote unquote kind of the standard, or is there other ways under which you can serve and become a national hero outside of just being in the political office type thing, or you know what I mean?
Yes, there ought to be other ways. There are other ways besides political. It would appear from our recent experiences, and I say recent experiences meaning as far back as I can remember, that we have treated with honor persons who have served as officers in the police force or as politicians in the House of Assembly. We've treated them to honors, and not so much so the rest of us, but yeah, the rest of us ought to be honored as well. And the question, I think the question you were asking was whether McCartney's service was extraordinary and outstanding, whether his achievement was extraordinary and outstanding, and whether his service was meritorious. There's only one answer to that. Yes.
Yes. Bing.
Yeah.
So the debate is over. So speak your mind alone. Rest that down. So he would have qualified today, just as he qualified many years ago, unofficially, quote unquote, without the quote unquote legislative backing that we have today. So there you go. Now, do you believe that having national awards that honor Turks and Caicos Islanders will help build national pride, or are these different issues.
Yes, I do believe these awards would foster national pride. I pray we do them right, so that they will be building national pride for many years to come. We have this tendency to disregard our own laws. I mean the officials, disregarding our own laws. We have this tendency. I hope we wouldn't disregard provisions of the ordinance, and just make the whole thing of none effect. We have another tendency to get excited and try to do things too quickly. Right? I hope
meaning?
Yeah. We get emotional over things, and then we want it done now. Right? I hope we wouldn't do that. We would be very deliberate with the moves we make as regards the national honors and award system. So if right now there are thoughts that we ought to be making some amendments to the ordinance.
Already? We only just had one set of people yesterday.
Yeah, it's
Oh, continue.
we don't we
Sorry,
we don't
continue.
we don't get them perfect the first time.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
We don't get them perfect the first time, right? There are thoughts that we ought to be making some amendment. Well, that's good,
Yeah.
right? But let's take our time. Let's not rush
Let's
and try to get
let's
it done.
Make sure let's work this as far as possible and get to know what the real kinks are.
We could make it. Some of the questions that you were asking earlier. We could make it clearer.
Okay.
Right? Let's do that. But let's take our time doing it, and do it with deliberation. Right? Those are some traits that I've noticed we have. I pray we respond more than we react. Yeah.
Now, this is a question and someone texts me, or put on my Facebook, I should say, for me to ask. So I'm asking on their behalf. Will your committee ensure the previous awardees get their medals from last year? Because you're going to have plenty more medals to give out this year. Trust me, if the TCI Patriots got anything to say about it.
Yes,
full load.
I'm depending on the public servants who tells me that those medals that weren't available last year would be available
in this batch.
Yes.
So you bringing the people back to receive it at that point, or you can deliver them? What type of
Deliver
vibe?
to them.
Oh, okay, delivery. No problem. That works. Okay. So what I would like you to do, because we're winding down now, getting close to the 2:00 hour, can you give us a recap on the awards themselves, just quickly, which awards, as well as the deadline for submissions and where persons can get their information before we get your final words?
Seven awards in reverse order. The National Young Achievers Medal for persons 12 to 25 who are perform exceptionally well on a national stage, a regional stage, or international stage, in culture, in academics, or the performing arts, sports. The Long Service Medal for persons who has given public service for 20 or more years, and that's public service must be outstanding and exemplary. Right? The Meritorious Service Medal, that is for persons who have given sacrificial and meritorious service in a field that's inherently challenging, or the person who has performed a brave or humane act, whether in the islands or not. The Patriotic Award, this is the only one that can be given to a non-islander, the Silver Mosure Bank Award, and that's for showing a high regard for national integration and for philanthropic contribution to the development of the islands. The Patriotic Award, Kaios, the Gold Award for an islander, a gang, who has demonstrated a keen sense of national consciousness and rendered exceptional sacrificial service to the islands and the people of the islands. This award comes with a title, the Much Honored. That person would have that title, the Much Honored. The Order of Turks and Caicos, an islander who has served with distinction in any field or discipline. You've served with distinction. You nominate that person. And this award comes with the title, the Most Honored. And then, of course, there's the big one, the Order of National Hero, maybe granted to an islander for extraordinary and outstanding achievement and merit in service to the islands or to humanity in general. And it comes with the title, the Right Excellent. Those are our 7
And
awards.
the deadline and where can persons get information again? Just recapping that quickly.
Deadline is June 30th. You got to have your nominations at the Premier's offices, one of the Premier's offices, at one of your district commissioner's offices by that date, June 30th. And forms are available in those very same places, besides the Treasury and the National Insurance Office, etc. Some stores. So the ball's in your court, basically, to do your nomination, do them to the best of your ability. Include all the information, all the information that would show that this person has indeed been serving in this kind of fashion, and the committee will consider them.
So was that your final words as well? Or you want to add some final words?
My final words would be then, the system is ours, right? Let's embrace it. Let's use it. It really doesn't matter how good a system is; it's useless until we use it. And the system would be injured, would become weak and sick if we abuse it. So let's try not to abuse the system. By abusing, I mean let's not be using the titles with persons who haven't been granted the award. And there's in the ordinance the provision for revocation of an honor if the awardee allows somebody else to wear his medal, for example.
Really?
Or if the awardee just change his lifestyle and become dishonorable.
Okay, so
Right?
yeah, bring the award in disrepute.
Into disrepute, right? Right. There's provisions to take that award back and say, no, you're not honorable.
Boy, man, you need to
Yeah.
that legislation might have to extend to a couple other places. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Swann, and you were listening into the Patriot Hour, and we were just discussing the National Honors and Awards process with the chairman of the National Honors and Awards Committee, Mr. Willette Swann, and hope you've had an informative afternoon. Personally, if you haven't done it yet, go get your copies of the application forms and make your submissions, because at the end of the day, we don't want to hear you making noise anymore. And you've had a whole year to digest the previous awardees, and you can do something about it, because again, at the end of the day, it's about us and making our submissions as the TCI public. It's not waiting on the committee members to make recommendations on our behalf. So if you don't do it, it can't get done. Again, that's why the TCI Patriots are making our awards. And if you need a copy of the awards and honors guideline, you can email us at tcipatriots@gmail.com. And of course, you can hit the Premier's offices in Grand Trunk Provo and the DC's offices on the other islands to get your information to make your submissions. So again, we don't want to hear any noise, but who get what and who out who and all of this kind of thing. And again, if you submit this year and the person doesn't get the award, you can still submit them next year, but you have to resubmit them because there is no rolling over and there's limits on all the categories except long service and national young achievers awards. So make your case for the persons you want to see awarded. With that, make sure to tune into next week for our topic, our next episode, which is candidate profiles. And our guest will be Miss Sabrina Green as well as Mr. Kyle Smith. So with that, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Swann. Take care, everybody.
This article is called National Identity, written and narrated by Jamell Robinson. The question of who we are as Turks and Caicos Islanders has been one that many have pondered for decades with no definitive answer to date. Our history teaches us that our islands have been conquered, reconquered, colonized, and conquered again by the French, the Spanish, and finally settling with the British. From that time to present, we have had very few occasions where persons across these islands have had a singular cause to be unified as one. Little or no development took place for centuries. We were not even used as a traditional colony, where a single industry was developed for the sole purpose of supplying the mother country. Case in point, the salt industry was spearheaded by Bermudian settlers for their own benefit, not England's. Middle Caicos was settled by Africans from the slave ship Troubadour that was shipwrecked off the coast of East Caicos. The sisal, sponge, and other plantation-related industries attempted were set up by relocated American loyalists who were granted land in the Caicos Islands. All these industries never proved sustainable in the long term, nor were they deployed throughout the Turks and Caicos as a whole. This likely resulted in not producing a revolt in unity by islanders to stem our commonality. I say all of that to point to the fact that each island has essentially developed somewhat uniquely independent of each other, save for the commonality of Grand Turk, South Caicos, and Salt Key during the salt industry. Think about it. Ask any Turks and Caicos Islander where are they from, and they will tell you which island they were born, grew up, or where their family is from, rather than saying the Turks and Caicos Islands. In most other countries, people would say the country first, and only when prompted would they say which state, city, or town they're from. This speaks to our tribalism, where a person would prefer an outsider preside over them rather than someone from a different tribe to theirs. Some, both local and foreigner, have used the TCI backstory, i.e. tribalism, colonialism, geography, or lack of national identity to keep us divided for their own agenda. Some have perpetuated this in ignorance, not fully knowing the long-term effects. For example, I was born in the USA, grew up in Grand Trunk on Good Street, North Axelina, and later relocated to Breezy Brae. My parents are from Grand Trunk and North Caicos, and I am a Turks and Caicos Islander. Undoubtedly, there will not be many, if any, other Turks and Caicos Islanders exactly like me. My older brother was born in Grand Trunk, grew up on Good Street, then later relocated to Breezy Brae, and has lived in the USA for many years. Though seemingly similar, he is not exactly like me. However, the common thread we share is the fact that we are both Turks and Caicos Islanders in every sense of our national and cultural identity. So what are the solutions? We need a name change, either in what we call ourselves or completely changing the name of the country. Honorable C. Washington Mizik proposed Turkasians many years ago, merging the Turks with the Caicos. This could be a start. Whatever the combination chosen, once it serves to unite us, it can work. The country name change may be the answer because historically, countries that have an N in them, the island coming behind it, are treated poorer than the islands at the front. Usually this is because the island before the N, A-N-D, is the economic hub, the seat of government, or just simply bigger. An example here would be Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, or St. Kitts and Nevis. What we have in the TCI is the opposite of many countries. The Caicos Islands are geographically bigger than the Turks Islands. Providenciales is now the economic hub, yet Grand Turk remains the seat of government, though for a brief point in history, Q North Caicos was the capital. The perfect example of a uniting name is the Bahamas. The Bahamas has more islands and keys than the Turks and Caicos Islands. And like its name, the citizens also have one unifying name, Bahamians. They have their issues, I'm sure, but their national identity is not one of them. Also of note is that many former African colonies have changed their names on achieving independence, such as Ghana, which was formerly known as the Gold Coast. Why should we have to wait for independence if a name change is desired by our people and can result in the unifying that we need? The other solution or opportunity is that circumstances must get to the point across the length and breadth of this country where we have no other choice but to unite and conquer that which divides. Every Caribbean country has had that moment as a part of their story. We have yet to have ours, though some may opine we did with the Junkanoo uprisings. Nevertheless, what Jakes McCartney started in 1975 has yet to take root in this country, and what he fought for has yet to be universally respected or accepted across the country. The time must come, and I believe that time is drawing near. And then and only then will we unite and define both our national and cultural identity.